They always thought I was the weak one. In my family, I was the quiet sister, the one who didn't argue, who stayed out of drama, who never showed off. My sister Vanessa? She was the star. She always took the spotlight, controlled every situation, and made sure everyone knew she was better than me. But what they didn't know was that while they were busy judging me, I was quietly building my own life, my own career, my own wealth, and my own freedom. So when Vanessa tried to trap me during our luxury family trip to Thailand, forcing me to babysit her kids while she enjoyed herself, she thought I would stay silent again.
But not this time.
This time, I was holding all the power. And when I canceled the entire trip that I secretly paid for, everything in our family turned upside down. This is the story of how my sister tried to control me one last time, and how I finally took back my life. My name is Emily, and I'm 30 years old. For years, my family always treated me like I was the weak one. They thought I couldn't handle big things, but they had no idea about my real life. A few months ago, my family started planning a big trip to Thailand. My sister Vanessa was the most excited. She told everyone how she always wanted to visit the beautiful beaches, stay at luxury hotels, and go shopping in Bangkok. My parents were excited too, but a little worried about the cost. One night during dinner, my father sighed and said, "Maybe we should pick a smaller vacation this year. Thailand is very expensive." Before anyone could speak, I smiled and said, "Don't worry, Dad.
I want to treat the family this time.
I'll cover the full cost of the trip." My father looked surprised but happy. "Are you sure, Emily?" "Yes," I nodded. "It's my gift to all of you." But I had one small request. I asked my dad not to tell anyone that I was paying. I just wanted to do something nice quietly. My sister Vanessa always looked down on me. I didn't want to deal with her drama. As the weeks passed, I booked everything: flights, five-star hotels, private tours, even luxury spa days. I spent almost $45,000 on this trip, but I was happy. It felt good to finally give something special to my family. Little did I know, Vanessa had her own plan waiting for me. A few days before the trip, I was sitting at home finalizing our travel documents when my phone rang. It was Vanessa. "Hey, Emily," she said sweetly at first. But I knew that tone. Whenever she spoke like that, she wanted something. "Hi, Vanessa. What's up?" I asked. She got straight to the point. "So, Mark and I were talking. Since you're coming on the trip and you're not married or bringing kids, we figured you could help us by babysitting the kids during most of the trip." I froze for a second. Babysitting? On the trip I was paying for? She wasn't even asking. She was telling me. I tried to stay calm. "Vanessa, I'm happy to spend time with the kids, but I have my own plans too. This is a vacation for me as well." Suddenly, her tone turned sharp and cold. "Emily, don't make this difficult. You don't have anything important to do there. If you don't agree to watch the kids, then you don't need to come. Honestly, you should feel lucky we even included you." For a moment, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. She truly thought she had power over me. She thought our father was paying for everything and that I was just tagging along. She had no idea I had quietly paid for the entire trip myself. I stayed silent for a second, then said softly, "Okay, Vanessa, if that's how you feel." She smiled, thinking she had won. "Good. I knew you'd understand." But in that moment, I quietly made a decision. She was about to learn who really controlled this trip. The moment I hung up the phone, I took a deep breath. I wasn't angry, not yet, but I was done being treated like I didn't matter. Vanessa had pushed me for years, always acting like I was beneath her. She thought she was better because she had a husband and kids. But this time, she crossed the line. I sat down at my laptop, opened my emails, and pulled up all the bookings I had made: first-class flights, luxury resort in Phuket, guided tours, private dinners. Every single thing had been paid for by me. Vanessa didn't know it, but every reservation was under my name and my credit card. I smiled a little to myself and thought, let's see how they handle this. One by one, I started canceling everything. The airlines refunded my tickets. The hotel processed the full refund. The tour companies were kind and returned the payments, since we were still days away from the trip. Slowly, everything was wiped clean. My nearly $45,000 was back in my account. I didn't tell anyone. I let them continue packing their suitcases and posting excited messages about Thailand on social media. Vanessa bragged online about all the shopping she planned to do, posting selfies with her designer luggage, writing captions like, "Thailand, here we come. Can't wait for beach days and luxury life." I simply smiled and watched. My parents were excited too, still thinking Dad had somehow arranged all this. I didn't say a word. The day of the trip was approaching, and Vanessa had no idea the storm that was waiting for her at the airport. Finally, the day of the trip arrived. Everyone was buzzing with excitement. My parents, Vanessa, Mark, and their kids all showed up at the airport with their oversized suitcases, beach hats, and travel pillows. Vanessa was dressed like she was already on vacation, sunglasses, designer bag, and an expensive outfit she had bought just for the trip. I arrived calmly, pulling my small suitcase behind me. I smiled and greeted everyone like nothing was wrong. Vanessa barely looked at me. "Make sure you stay close to the kids when we land," she said coldly, already assigning me to babysit before we even checked in. I simply nodded and said, "Of course." We walked together to the airline counter. Vanessa confidently handed over all the passports. The airline agent typed for a few moments, then frowned. She checked the screen, then typed again. "I'm sorry," the agent said. "I don't see any reservations under this name." Vanessa laughed, thinking it was a simple mistake. "That's impossible. Check again. We have first-class tickets to Phuket. It's all booked." The agent shook her head politely. "Ma'am, I've checked multiple times. There are no bookings for your group." Vanessa's face turned red. "This is ridiculous. My father booked everything. It should be fully paid." My father looked confused and turned to me. "Emily, do you know what's going on?" I took a breath, looked at everyone, and calmly spoke, loud enough for everyone in the line to hear. "Actually, Dad, you didn't pay for this trip."
I did.
I paid for everything, flights, hotels, tours, all of it. The entire family froze. Even nearby passengers were now watching the scene unfold. Vanessa's face turned pale.
What?
"That's not true. Dad, you told me." Dad interrupted, now realizing the truth. "I never told you that, Vanessa. Emily offered to pay, and I agreed to keep it private." Vanessa's voice shook with anger. "You canceled everything?" I smiled and said softly, "Yes, I did. After you told me I had no right to come unless I agreed to babysit your kids." She stood speechless. Her plan had backfired completely, and now the whole family knew the truth. For a long moment, no one said anything. The entire airport terminal felt completely silent, except for the people nearby whispering and watching the drama unfold. Vanessa's voice finally cracked. "How could you do this to us? You embarrass me in public." I stayed calm. "No, Vanessa. You embarrassed yourself when you tried to trap me into babysitting while acting like you were in charge. You tried to control a trip you didn't even pay for." Mark, her husband, kept his head down. He never spoke. He looked like he wanted to disappear. My parents stood in shock, not sure what to say. Vanessa suddenly snapped at my father. "Why didn't you tell me? You knew she was paying." My father looked at her firmly. "Because I knew exactly how you would behave. And sadly, you proved me right." Vanessa's face flushed with anger and humiliation. She tried to save face. "Fine. We'll just book new tickets and go anyway." I smiled again. "Good luck with that." The rooms, tours, and special bookings were non-refundable for anyone else. You'll be starting from scratch and paying full price. She turned to Mark, expecting him to back her up. "Mark, say something." Mark shrugged helplessly. "We can't afford that, Vanessa." Her mouth fell open in shock. For once, her husband finally admitted the truth. I grabbed my small suitcase and calmly said, "Well, I'm still going to Thailand, but solo this time." As they stood frozen, I walked away, checked in, and boarded my flight, first class, while Vanessa stood at the airport with her canceled dream vacation crumbling around her. The moment I stepped onto the plane, I felt free. No stress, no drama, just peace. The The flight attendants guided me to my first-class seat, where I sipped fresh orange juice and settled in for the long journey. As the plane soared into the sky, I glanced out the window and smiled. My sister had tried to use me, but instead, she lost everything she thought she controlled. When I arrived in Thailand, I checked into the luxury resort I had originally booked for the whole family. The staff greeted me with warm smiles, calling me Ms. Emily, as they carried my bags to a private ocean view suite. The place was even more beautiful than the photos. Every morning, I enjoyed breakfast by the beach, went on private boat tours, visited temples, and had full spa treatments. I finally had the vacation I truly deserved. No babysitting, no guilt, no insults. But I wasn't done yet. I started sharing pictures and videos on my social media. My followers saw me sipping coconut water by the infinity pool, feeding elephants at a sanctuary, and wearing gorgeous outfits at sunset dinners. I tagged the hotels, restaurants, and experiences, making it crystal clear that I was living my best life. Back home, Vanessa's friends were watching too. She had spent weeks bragging online about her big family trip, pretending she had planned everything. Now her lies were fully exposed. I started getting messages from mutual friends. "Wow, Emily, your trip looks amazing." "Wait, I thought Vanessa said you weren't even going? So you paid for everything?" She never told us that. Vanessa tried to stay silent online, but the damage was done. People started questioning her. The perfect image she had built for years cracked wide open. When I returned home from Thailand, I felt like a brand new person. I was relaxed, confident, and stronger than ever. But I knew the real storm was waiting for me back home. A few days later, my father invited me over for dinner. When I arrived, my parents were sitting in the living room looking serious. Vanessa and Mark were already there, sitting stiffly, avoiding eye contact. My father spoke first. "Emily, we need to talk as a family." I nodded calmly. "Of course." Vanessa exploded before anyone else could speak. "How could you humiliate me like that? Everyone's talking about me now. My friends, Mark's family, they all think I lied." I looked directly at her. "Because you did lie, Vanessa. You acted like you were in charge of a trip you never paid for. You tried to control me, like you always have. And this time, it backfired." Mark finally spoke up, softly but clearly. "Vanessa, you've been controlling for years. Emily didn't do anything wrong. You did this to yourself." Her eyes widened. Even Mark was no longer on her side. My mother tried to calm things down. "Let's not make this worse." But my father shook his head.
No.
"It's time we face the truth. We've allowed Vanessa to treat Emily unfairly for years, and we've all stayed quiet. But not anymore." Vanessa's mouth trembled. "So now you're all turning against me?" I stayed steady. "No one's turning against you, Vanessa. We're simply not letting you treat people like garbage anymore." For the first time, Vanessa sat there speechless. No comeback, no insults, no fake tears. The room went silent. After that night, everything changed. My family dynamic shifted for good. My father made it clear that things would no longer revolve around Vanessa's selfish behavior. My parents finally saw the years of disrespect I had quietly endured. As for Vanessa, she tried to play the victim with friends and extended family, but most people already knew the truth. The photos from my trip, the public scene at the airport, and Mark finally standing up to her left no room for her lies to spread any further. Mark became distant from her after the trip. Over the next few months, their marriage slowly fell apart. Mark eventually moved out, taking the kids with him, tired of living under Vanessa's toxic control. She had pushed everyone away, and this time, there was no one left to blame but herself. Meanwhile, I focused on myself. That trip to Thailand had not only been a vacation, it was a turning point. I felt empowered. I invested in my career, started my own small business, and bought my own beautiful apartment. My confidence grew with every decision I made for myself, without needing approval or validation from anyone. My parents, especially my father, started showing real respect for my independence. "Emily," he told me one evening, "I regret not seeing your strength sooner, but I'm proud of you." I smiled.
Thank you, Dad.
I'm exactly where I need to be now. Vanessa, once the sister who tried to control me, was now nothing more than a distant relative. I had finally broken free from her toxic grip. And as I sat one evening, sipping tea on my balcony, I realized. Sometimes, the sweetest revenge is simply living a life they can no longer control.